Upsize your creativity with the all-new, all-smart Innovus NQ1700E, only from your friends at Brother. Demo one at your Brother dealer today.
Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, and we are at your side virtually. I'm a Brother brand ambassador, and we are streaming on Brother's Facebook and YouTube sewing and crafting pages. Although today we're not live, really. We had to pre-record this because we were worried that I was going to be in a location that did not have good enough internet. But guess what? I'm in the comments, so you'll see me in the comments and watching the show with you. But wait till you see what we have for you today. So Cathy's with us, and she just showed me her project. She's a great Brother educator. You are not going to want to miss this. So let's bring Cathy up. Hi, Cathy. How are you?
I'm doing well. And you?
Oh, my gosh. This project is so stinking cute. So the theme has been quick and easy projects because we all wanted to finish something in a short period of time, if it's for a gift or for ourselves. Yours takes the cake, though.
All right. It's a ironing board caddy. So you have your side that you have the little pockets on. You have a pin cushion, and then you have a pocket on the other side. I put press on this side, and sew, iron, repeat over here. I've got my scissors in the pocket. I've got marking pins. I've got my ruler. And so I'm ready at my ironing board because usually I have these things on my ironing board and I always end up pushing them off and they're on the floor. But now I use to store them.
That's exactly what happens. And you even have a pin cushion on there. Is that a little pin cushion?
Yes, this is a little pin cushion.
Oh my God. Oh, and it comes off. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you can take it off. And at first I thought, well, why? But, you know, if you fill it full of pins and you want to get them back to your sewing machine, you just take this off and transfer them back, you know, take them back to your sewing machine. So it's just easy. And, you know, I'd always put them in the ironing board cover and then you lose them. And but anyway, now you have a little pin cushion.
I love this. And you know what? I put all my pins in the ironing board cover and then I end up getting myself when I'm cleaning, I'll end up with little cuts. This is brilliant. So there's a lot. We were just chatting before this session. There's a lot of techniques in here. Although it's a quick and easy project, there's so much that you used a Brother machine for that were great techniques. You want to just give a quick rundown of what you're going to show?
Yeah, I'm going to show some lettering. Now, of course, you don't have to put embroidery on it, but I'm going to show you how to do the lettering. And so that it just takes a little more time, but it's just fun. And then I have my in my custom stitch, I did it looks like a ruler or a tape measure. So we're going to create that stitch in my custom stitch. We're going to use a bi-level foot to sew the Velcro on here, and then sideways motion to sew the Velcro. The hoop and loop tape on there. And then we're going to, there's a couple other things. Let me see.
We're going to go into My Design Center. You're going to show them how quick and easy you made that pin cushion.
Right. I mean, to sew it on the machine is you turn the corner 4 times and you're good to go. But why not use our Design Center to design a box and let it move the corner so we don't have to move our fabric at all. So we're going to do it on my Design Center.
So there's a lot of techniques here. And if you saw Cathy a couple weeks ago when she was on showing some of the new products, she showed you that measuring tape stitch that she created in My Design Center. That is so stinking cute. And I'm so glad we're going to get an opportunity to see how to design that. So this sounds great. And also, she's going to show you everything. I know she has to go to her camera. And again, if you have questions or comments, be sure to leave them because I'm watching you. And so is Brother Sews in the chat, although I can't bring your comments up on screen. So we're still here, though.
All right.
All right. Where would you like to start, Cathy?
I'll go to my camera now.
All right. We'll see her in just a second. And while she's gone, just full disclosure, Velcro is not a product from Brother. As you know, we have to clear that. So we call it hook and loop tape, just in case you missed that. All right. So Cathy is back. Here we go.
In fact, let me go turn on
Take her out for a sec till she's right back. We do that so you don't get seasick. Although I think all of you are used to it by now. When we are live, now although we're not live, but we are live, we are taping live. So there's no edits here. So I know everybody loves that because if somebody forgets something or drops something off the table, we know that we're all human, right?
Yes, I needed to turn on a light.
There, that looks great. We can see you wonderfully.
Okay. So first, we want to do some lettering. And so in our machine, I'm going to go to Embroidery and go to the lettering. And I am just going to pick this font here, and I am going to pick the small lettering. On the one that I did, I picked a medium size. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use a large size, but I'm going to use a small lettering. So I'm going to put S, E, W, and then I'm going to go to the next line and write iron, if I can. And then go to the next line and write repeat.
Now, Cathy, you're on the Brother Luminaire, correct?
Yes, but what's nice about this is this can be done with any machine. Most machines. I'm using a 5x7 embroidery hoop. So most Brother machines will use a 5x7. So it's things that you can do on just about any machine.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to push the lettering down here, and I am going to change repeat to this font right here. Then I'm going to push iron, and because an iron is, you're pushing and strong with it, I'm going to use that right there. So then I'm going to say OK and set. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup them here and then select, and I can just move these wherever I want. So if I want to move them around and put them where I want them to be, then I can do that and then go to embroidery. And that's how easy it is to customize your lettering however you would like. It's just easy.
That was so simple. And I know that people are watching this saying, I did not know you could touch a whole word and turn and change the font. How fast and easy is that? No, delete, delete, delete.
Exactly. It's just amazing. And the thing is, we don't play as much as we should. Should, because you just all of a sudden go, oh my goodness, I didn't know that it would do that. And it's just amazing what this machine will do.
That looks awesome.
So now I'm going to return and just get rid of this, go home and OK, and come back to embroidery and go to the pocket. And I've got press on in here and go to set. Now, I don't know if you've seen, and I know I've talked about it, but this is our new magnetic flat frame. It's a 5x7, and you can see how I put this fabric in here, and this it just holds the fabric so taut. And so you can use a piece that's not that doesn't fill the whole hoop, and it's going to keep it right in place. Now, there's an update for the Luminaire, and if you put that update on your machine will recognize this hoop. And I would suggest looking into it because it is absolutely amazing.
So Cathy, last year when we had the magnetic hoop that came with the XP2, the upgrade for that, that was the larger hoop. So this is smaller, and this works on other machines as well, doesn't it? Just besides the Luminaire.
Yes, it does. It's going to work on any machine as soon as you get the update, so the machine can recognize it. It's an update on the Brother Solution website, and it just will let it recognize the hoop. So any machine that does a 5x7 and has a slide-on hoop, it'll work with.
That is perfect. And so for those of you that are new to embroidery, completely newbies that are like, what does she have on there? She has stabilizer down below and then the fabric on top. But because she's using that magnetic hoop, that's what she was showing you. It keeps it nice and taut, and you don't have to have it go in all four corners, which we love.
Yes, exactly. And this is flat. So it's nice and flat. So it just goes right under the foot. We don't have to maneuver. We can just set it right under the foot.
Awesome.
The magnets just come right off. And then you have this little arrow, and you just slide that up, and it just snaps right on.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
So it's amazing. And we won't take the time to sew it right now because we have other things to show. But I do have it sewn out here, so you can see that it did just very easily.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, and it just is amazing how nice and taut it holds it, even though it's not all four sides. So that is our pockets. So you're going to put embroidery on your pockets if you so desire. This is your project. You do it how you like. So now I'm going to.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a quick question. How wide? What are the dimensions of that pocket?
Okay, hold on. Let me see. The pocket is 6.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
So I cut my fabric 6.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
And then when we get to it, when we go to the sewing side, it has the backing on it, which is a little bit bigger because this backing is what we're going to sew on and bring around and then sew down with the measuring tape stitch.
Okay.
So that's.
It looks like it's just a little bit longer. Maybe what, about an inch longer?
Let me see. It's.
Because I know that everybody watching, they're going to follow along and they're going to be like, I want to make exactly what she has there.
Okay. So if you cut a piece of fabric for the pocket, 6.5 by 8.5, and then for the lining of the pocket, it's 7.5 by 8.5.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So you're right, an inch bigger. Oh no, it's 9.5. I wrote wrong. I'm sorry. No, it is 8.5 because it's the width. So it's just longer.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm wrong. Excuse me. Yes. 7.5 by 8.5. Okay.
So 6.5 by 8.5 or
Right.
6.5 by 9.5.
It's okay. Yeah, 6.5 by 8.5. I'm sorry, the 8.5 is a constant because that's the width. That's not.
Oh, the 8.5 is the width. Okay, I'm sorry. 8.5 is the width. 6.5 is the height for the first piece.
And then add an inch, 7.5 for the second piece.
All right. Everybody get that? Now that I just confused the heck out of you, everyone's going to have a ironing board cover this wide because I had the width. So now you got it. Okay,
I totally messed it up. But I had it right the first time, and I always second guess myself, which I need to not always do, sometimes, but not always. Okay.
We got it.
So now you have your pin cushion, and we'll go to My Design Center. So we're going to go home here and say OK, and go to My Design Center. Now we want to digitize a placement stitch. Your luminaire and your stellaire have really three sides to the machine. You have a sewing side, an embroidery side, and a digitizing side. So right now we'll be in the digitizing. So I'm going to change this stitch to just a straight stitch. And I'm going to leave it at black and say OK. I'm going to come into my shapes, and I just want an outline. So I'm going to select this one and say OK. And then go to size. Now I want my size to be, the size of the pin cushion is 3.5 by 6.5. So I'm going to stretch it out to be 6.5. Whoops, and I went too far, of course. And then I'm going to squash it in to make it 3.5. And then I went too far again.
I posted this up, so all of you that were like, wait, what was that? It was 3.5 by 6.5 inches. I put it on the screen for you so you don't miss that. This is for the pin cushion.
Well, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to put it into memory, so I don't have to do all that again, and put it in the machine. And then go to next. And set. And okay. So now I'm going to add My Design Center. Come to memory. Up here in the memory pocket. and take that design out and say OK. So now I want to change that stitch to a triple stitch. Now I want to change the color and say OK, get my bucket and bucket it on. Now I need an opening, so I'm going to come to my eraser and I'm going to say OK, and I'm just going to erase some of this side here. Just give me a place to turn it. I'm going to go to next and set and OK and embroidery, and I'm ready to sew it out. And that's how easy it is to digitize the pincushion.
That is a lot faster than sewing around.
So I have already sewn the first stitch out. And I'm going to take my 2 pieces. I have already sewn the hook side of the tape to this one, and I'm going to put them right sides together. That's why I picked this fabric. You can't tell right or wrong side, except that I have that tape on there. I'm going to set it on here.
So Cathy, what do you have in the hoop? Is that just stabilizer in there?
Yes, this is a tearaway stabilizer.
Okay,
so I can just tear it away because I don't want anything real stiff in my pincushion. So I can just tear it away when I'm done.
So for those of you that are new to embroidery, what she has done is that first box that she has on there is your placement line, just in case you were wondering what that is.
And so I'm going to turn this over because you can't always see, but on this side, I can see exactly where that is and if I'm hitting the area that I need to. And it looks pretty good.
All right.
I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little tape on it.
And don't worry, you'll see that in a second. She's doing it on the table. There you go. For those of you that are really new to embroidery, this is what we call embroidery in the hoop because you don't have to do any sewing. So she has the fabric sides, right sides together, go right on that marking, and you slide it into your embroidery.
I'm going to go ahead and slide it in, and I know you can't see this, but it's just going to be do a triple stitch around it. So I'm going to go ahead and start the machine and let it do the stitching.
And the triple stitch is so nice because it's nice and strong. It's a little bit stronger than just that single stitch. And I know her camera's not facing that way, but just imagine it's embroidering a rectangle with that little opening.
Yes. And I'm having a bit of a hard time here. I didn't pay as close attention as I should. So
it's always fun leaning over a video camera trying to get your embroidery in place, right?
It's probably good that we're off camera here.
By the way, while she's doing that, I know many of you have been watching some of the new products that have been coming out from Brother, and I'm just going to put a little reminder for you that 0% financing ends at the end of the month. So don't forget about that. Don't delay, because when it's done or over, it's over.
All right. Well, okay.
Well, the good news is we couldn't see it.
Exactly. Well, I
Did it get stuck?
I really just messed it up. I forgot to go to the next stitch, so did the first stitch again. So anyway, what I'm going to show you, what I wanted to show you, is that here, because the stitch is inside of here, when you go to cut this out, I'm going to go ahead and take it out and just tear off my stabilizer. And you can just tear the inside out off. Just tear this off. And then when you go to cut this to turn it, you're going to have a stitch here. And when we sew, you're going to have a stitch here. And when we sew, we trim close. We've already got it cut out, so our stitch is just 1/4 inch. But with this, I had it cut a little larger. So where my stitches are, I can trim close to my stitches, but I can leave a little extra fabric here. So when I turn this and go, so I sew it together, I'll have a little bit more of a lip there. So I have more fabric to turn under.
That's a good idea. I always wondered, sometimes if you trim too closely and then you try to tuck that in. So what she has there, the two sides of fabric together, the little opening. And by the way, don't forget to go to your next stitch, like she just mentioned. And then once you go around that, you flip it right side out. But sometimes if you trim too closely, like she just pointed out there, like the fabric comes out and it's really hard to stitch in place. So that really, good tip.
Nice. Okay. So we've got our pocket sewn. So now we want to sew the backing on. So we're going to go ahead and go on over to sewing. So I'm going to move my camera so we can see the needle.
Okay.
And change my foot.
While she moves her camera, I will take her out for a second actually, I'll bring her back just to make sure. Do you need me to take you out, Cathy, or are you good?
Well, they may see me moving over here.
So you just give me thumbs up or just tell me, because we can hear you still. So she's changing back to the sewing side. So for those of you that are like, what just happened there? Okay, so that's embroidery in the hoop. So it's a rectangle, but she needed to switch to the next. Remember, she had two. One was the full placement line, and then the next step was a placement line that had that little opening. So just think of sewing a rectangle with an opening. And if you don't have an embroidery machine, you could do that on a sewing machine. Flip it right side out and leave that little extra fabric. And now her pin cushion is finished, which is awesome. So she's going to go back to the sewing side and show us, number one, how to sew on that hook and loop tape. And then we're going to get to see how she designed those stitches in my custom stitch. So a lot more coming.
All right.
All right. Almost. Oh, we can see that great.
Okay. All right. So we're going to, I have my end foot on. And when you have your end foot on, if you take your left and right shift and you go all the way up to 7, all the way over, and use the edge of your foot as a guide, you're going to get 1/4 inch.
Hey, Cathy, can you, by the way, because they can't really see that foot, that's why I put my glass on just to make sure. What is that foot that you're using?
This is just the end foot.
Okay, just a standard foot. Well, the end foot is more for decorative stitches, isn't it?
Right. The beauty of the end foot, I use it for a lot of things, but the beauty of the end foot is if you look at the bottom, the J foot stops right here. The back is full of metal. I mean, but this has a groove in here. So if you have a heavy buildup of stitches, they can move. So they can move through this groove here. And so that's why you want to use it for decorative stitches and a lot of other things. But I like it for a lot of things. I like this foot because it hits these feed dogs very nicely.
And so now we know it. It's the end stitch. And not end, but end. Got it. And now we can see it better from the angle. It's like, boy, that's a new foot. I haven't seen that one. It looks great. Okay, everybody, if you have questions, just leave it in the comments. But it says N on it. Perfect.
So I'm going to go ahead and, so if you have that foot on and you have it at 7.0, you can go ahead and use the edge of the foot and sew your seam, and you're going to get a perfect 1/4 inch seam. So I really like that. It's good for a lot of different things. I use it a lot. So now we're going to come to our hoop and loop tape. I can't say that for the life of me.
Say it fast 3 times.
So I'm going to open it up. And so this is the hook side. And so it's the hard side. So I'm going to take my bi-level foot. Now you have a bi-level foot for the right side and a bi-level foot for the left side. And if you look at the bottom, I don't know if you could see that or not. Do you see this little ledge here?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's so I can put my hook tape right up to that, and it levels out the foot. This is going to be hitting the feed dogs, and the rest is going to be right here, and so I'll get a nice even feed.
Oh, that's great. So this is the bi-level foot?
Yes. You have a bi-level foot for the left side, and that's SA 104, and a bi-level side for the right side, and that's the one that I'm using, and that's SA 103.
And are these only, I know somebody's going to ask, like, are these specific just to the Luminaire, or do these work on any machine?
No. When you have a snap-on foot, most of our machines are 7 millimeters. So this opening here is 7 millimeters, and our feed dogs are going to be able to hit those feet. So you're going to be able to use this with any machine, basically.
And you could just visit your brother dealer or call them, and you'll know. But just tell them what machine you have.
So I'm going to take a piece of this fabric. Now and sort of center this, because this foot is, you see how it's crooked? So when I set it on the fabric, it evens out. So when I do that, then I'll be able to lower this foot on there a lot easier. I can get the foot on there without doing that, but I have to help this side up. But this tape under there, and that's why I'm using it, is so it's going to stay on there a lot easier. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to move my needle back over to about 5.5. And I'm going to start. And stop, and pivot. I've got my pivot feature on. And I went too far, but stop. I usually do this one with my foot control, but I'm trying to use my finger. My finger's not fast enough. And come down here. And stop. And so if you have anything, if you're top stitching on something and you want it real close, you can use this foot and get your cuff or whatever right up to this edge, and that will hit the feed dogs, and your cuff is right there to give you the perfect stitch.
All I'm thinking is jeans.
So there you go.
Jeans. You know how much I love to sew jeans. This foot will be perfect for that inseam that's so thick, and you're trying to get that top stitch right down the line. This was a great tutorial for that. I never thought of using it for Velcro, though.
Yes, it's a great foot. All right, so now we've got our pockets done. We've got our lining put on. You're going to turn it to the back, line up the bottom, give it a little bit of a press. Now we're going to design the stitch to sew here. So I'm going to move the camera back to the screen here real quick.
Okay. While she's doing that, I'll take you off camera since you don't get seasick. So was that the coolest foot ever? Yes, I can think of so many applications for that. So whatever machine you have, just call your brother dealer and say, does that work on mine? Because you have a left and a right side, which I love that, because if you're sewing jeans, well, I'm just thinking jeans instantly because you have those higher levels inside the inseam, the waistband, jackets, cuffs, as she mentioned, a lot of things like that. So this is a great project, but we're learning a ton of other things too. All right, so we want to use My Custom Stitch. And My Custom Stitch has been around for a long time, but I've always been kind of hesitant to use it. But I've been playing with it lately, and it really is a lot of fun.
So when you go to character decorative stitches and touch this right here, you have my custom stitch. Now it's 7 millimeters across, and it's in 0.5 millimeters, half a millimeter. So here is the buttons that you use to set your stitches. So I'm going to go over 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it tells me right here how many I've done. And you know what? I got to go back. I want to set that first point. I want to start right there, so I have to set it. Now I'm going to go over 12 and set a point. Now I'm going to go back to 0. And then I'm going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and set a point. I'm going to go over, let me go. Well, I practiced this, I don't know how many times.
It's always when it's live though.
Go down 4 and set. I must not be pushing the set. Go over 3 and set. Go back 3 and set. Go down 4 and set. Go over, now this is our 1/8 inch, so we're going to do a 1/4 inch, so we're going to go over 6 and set, and then back 6 and set, and down 4 and over 3 and back 3 and down 4. And now we're going to go over 9 and set, and back 9 and set, and down 4 and set, and over 3 and set, and back 3 and set. 1, 2, 3, 4 and set, over 6 and back. We're almost there. And down 4. All right, now I'm going to push test, and there you go. You've got your stitch.
Oh my gosh, I'm watching, but I'm like, I feel like I'm playing a little video game. That is, that looks fantastic. I was thinking to myself, I wonder, and you all leave a comment about this. I was wondering how many of you were thinking, is she going to do that for the entire screen? Or is it just 1 inch and you can repeat it? Yay! You can repeat it.
Well, yeah, so many of them are different sizes. But anyway, so there you go. And then you would just put it in the memory and then take it on over and sew it.
Oh my gosh, Cathy, that is awesome. I would love to know from people watching here, and I bet you probably do too, how many of you go look on your machine? You might even have this. This has been on machines for a while. And have you ever used it?
Exactly. All right, so we're going to come back here, and we're going to come to the memory pocket, and there we go. There's our stitch.
Wow.
And we're ready to sew.
You can just stitch that along the edge like you showed on your blanket all the way around. It never stops, right? It's just a repeat.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
So we're going to go ahead and change my thread to red here. Oh, I guess we can do it in black. I'm not going to worry about it. But you won't be able to see it very well on here. Maybe that's a good thing. Anyway. So I can see that this edge of the stitch is right on the inside of my foot there. So if you look at your stitch here, you can see where it's going to start stitching on your foot. They have the picture of the foot here, and you can see that it's going to stitch right on the inside of that. It's just, they show you everything. And we don't always pay attention, but they do show you everything. All right.
I like that. We do pay attention some, but not always.
Well, I just don't see everything that they show, and it's just, so it just let me get this done
Cathy's
a little
switching
bit
things
better.
around, so I'm just taking her out for a second until she's back up there. She's just got to just about, is this a fun project or what? I mean, the My Custom Stitch is so much fun, and I forget about that stitch so many times. When Cathy brought that up, I was like, oh gosh, I haven't done that in a couple of years.
Yeah. All right, so, I got to move over so we can see it, don't I?
All right, she's just moving. So do you have any questions about this? She's going to keep showing you more of this, so we'll keep going. But if you have any questions, just holler or leave it in the comments, actually, literally.
Okay. So I've got it up, and I am just going to sew right along the edge there. And I'm off to the side, so I really can't see exactly. But you see, I want to guide it right into the side of the foot here, right here. That's where the outside is going. So you're just going to stitch all the way across here. And I suspect that that's enough of that. But you get the idea. So there you go. It's hard to see on the black. But you
we can see it though. That really, you can see it really good on that side.
So there you go.
So you do that all the way across. When you bring up the original, there you go. When you bring up the original, we'll know how this. So you do that all the way across the top of that.
So let's. I've got this one here. This is one that we're going to finish up. So I've got that sewn up here. So then I basted. I put the pocket on. I've got some batting here, and I've set the pocket on. And at a 1/4 inch, I sewed each. At a 1/4 inch, I sewed each side, and then I sewed a line to divide the pockets. Now, what I did was, usually you're going to measure what size pockets you want, but I went ahead and picked a line that I could go through without hitting one of the letters. But you can do it however you want.
Oh, that's a good idea, though. Then you're not going over that.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just
don't worry. I know you all are asking, how big is everything else? We'll get to that in a second. So don't worry.
Do you want to go ahead and give it now?
Sure.
Okay. Well, we got the pin cushion and we got the pocket. The front is 8.5 inches by 36.5 inches.
Okay.
And so that would be the batting also.
So do you have batting on the entire thing or just in that middle part?
Just in the middle part. On the, when I did and I guess I forgot to tell you this, I had this all written down and I didn't go by my list here. When I did the embroidery with the sew, iron, repeat, or the press on, I hooped it with cutaway stabilizer. And then I just cut it along all 4 edges. And so that way it makes it nice and stiff. So I have something in there. And I went ahead and did iron on a lightweight interfacing on the fabric before I put it on there. So underneath here, I have the interfacing and the cutaway.
Okay.
So it's going to be nice and it's got some real body to it.
So the 8.5 inches wide by 36.5, is that
this
are those
is pin cushion fabric?
Okay. Great.
And then the backing, which is going to be the gingham on the back, is 11.5 by 39.5.
Okay.
So it gets 3 inches bigger because I have 1.5 inches on each side all the way around.
Okay. And then the only other question I have is that sew, iron, and repeat. That pin cushion fabric, did you baste it to it and then the pin cushion fabric is gone, or is that pin cushion fabric all along the back?
It's all the way on the back, yeah. So it's right in here.
Okay, so that's one whole piece. Okay,
so
that helps.
So you just slap that on. You just set this on, and then I just sewed the sides. I didn't sew across the bottom. I'm going to cover the bottom with this. I'm going to cover the bottom with this, and so I didn't sew along the bottom. I just sewed the sides and split the pocket.
Okay.
And you're going to do that on both ends.
All right. And of course, that was such a silly question. Of course, your pocket is sewn to the pincushion fabric because what are you going to have a pocket for?
Yeah, that's the inside there. Yes.
Wonderful. That's really cute fabric, by the way.
Thanks. All right, so then we're going to use that same stitch, the same stitch that we used before, to sew on the binding. So what I did was, I know you can get those cute little, and I have them, I just can't find them when I want them. I don't know if any of you have a problem to find your sewing tools when you need them. But they're the little strips that you can turn under and use that to press with. Because this had to be pressed 3/4 of an inch in. So what I did was I cut a piece of cutaway stabilizer, and I used this as my 3/4 inch guide.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So if you can't find something, make something. All right, so now, so you iron it in 3/4 of an inch all the way around, and then you just set this inside of it. So this is going to come up here. So you just bring it in, and then you're going to just sew all the way around. When you get to the corner, what you're going to do is you're going to fold this in, but you're going to fold this out.
Okay. So for those that are like, wait, I'm so confused. She's taken this backing fabric, that gingham, which is cut 3 inches wider on each side, and folded it around to the front side of the bag. So you can see there's the back.
Here's the back, and it's all pressed under 3/4 of an inch. Then I layer this on top of it so it fits right up to where that ironing is. And then when you come down here, I've already tucked it on over so I don't have any raw edges.
Right, that looks great. So,
and now I want to show you how to turn the corner, because those are sometimes kind of confusing.
Yes, they are.
So I'm going to go ahead and fold it on over. So I have that folded there. Let me go see if I can. So I have this folded, and I took this and I unfolded the 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take this and fold it in, and then I'm going to take and miter my corner right here, fold this up here, and then one more time, and you see how I get a perfect miter?
Oh my gosh. I was like, here, I will give you my extra hands to hold for you. It's like, that was so easy. So the front one, the top one that you're looking at there is already double folded. And could you just show that again? Because that's brilliant.
So this is already double folded. So I've got this folded over, and then I unfolded the bottom, and then I turned this in for my 45 degrees. And then I folded this up to the bottom here where I have it pressed. This is a press line. And then folded it up one more time, and I get my perfect miter.
Oh my gosh, that's so easy. So you don't even have to, you can just sew down that whole row, turn, and keep rolling. You don't even have to take the fabric out.
Exactly, exactly. So you just sew, pivot, and sew.
I love that.
And it's really easy to do. You just have to remember that you have to unfold this all the way and then fold it in and fold.
I got it. Does everybody have that? Because that's a great tip. I like that. Fast and easy too.
All right, so now let me take, let's go ahead and sew. I don't know if you've seen this before or not, how to do this. I'm going to take this off real quick. So to sew a corner, I'm going to take my, go back to my utility stitches and go to my straight stitch and go to my 7.0. All right. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just sew and sew off. Now I'm going to take where I've sewn here, and I'm going to turn it down. So now I've got right where that stitch is, I've turned it down. And now I'm going to stitch this side. And use my scissors and bring it up. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to turn this down and sew.
You're actually sewing the pin cushion, aren't you?
Yes.
So for those of you that decided not to do the embroidery side, she's sewing the pin cushion, and these corners are going to turn out gorgeous. This is one of my favorite tips ever.
So then you just stick your thumb in there and turn, and you get this wonderful corner.
Wow, gorgeous.
It is amazing. Don't you love this technique?
That's one of my absolute favorites. And sometimes I forget about it and I start sewing, or I'll sew the facing on a jacket and I'll think, how do I get those corners right? That's how you do it.
Yes. So I just wanted to show you that little tidbit.
Oh my gosh, Cathy, this show has been that's one easy project, but it's been so full of information. Oh my gosh.
And then I've got one stuffed here. And so I used my little clippies. And then I would move my needle all the way over to the other side and just get this underneath there and sew that down. Just shove all that batting out of the way and just stitch that down. Or if you'd like, you could hand stitch, which isn't bad. All right, so now one thing that's on these machines that we hardly ever use that I think is fantastic is our sideways sewing. So to get our last piece of Velcro on, now you're going to take and measure up from this pocket 5 inches. And that's going to put it right at the edge of your ironing board, really. And place, I got a piece of the loop side here.
I always like, you have the hook or do you have the loop side? I don't remember.
This is the loop side. I'm going to stick it right on here. It's 5 inches from here to here. So it's 5 inches from here to here. And that just sort of puts it on the ironing board where you need it. So I don't really want to flip this back and forth. So I'm going to go ahead and sew sideways. So I'm going to push over my foot and push that and go. And I can't see what I'm doing here, so it could not be hitting it. But
hey, you know what? It's talent when it's live. Have you tried the sideways sewing? That feature's so cool. You can go sideways, diagonals, everything. She'll go back and show you where it is on the screen in just a minute. But yes. We'll go in here.
You want me to turn it so they can see the screen?
Yeah, just so they know where to go to find that.
Okay.
All right, well, she's flipping that around. I can see her, you can't, but she's just squeezing you over, because if you did not know you had this on your machine, this is one of my favorite things. All right. There she is.
When you're in the utility stitches,
just put your head to the right, just a smidge, Cathy. There you go.
So when you're in the utility stitches, you're going to go to 5. And when you're on 5, you have where you can sew to the right, and then sew forward, to the left, and then backwards. And that's how you sew on that Velcro, so you don't have to turn. It's amazing.
I love that. I love that. So you have shown actually 2 things today. Well, more than 2 things, but 2 things in the machine, the sideways sewing and the My Custom Stitch, that have been on machines for a long time on the Brother machine. So I would love to see in the comments, have you tried this? And if you did, when was the last time? Because these are things you forget about until all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my gosh, that would make my sewing so much faster and better.
Yeah, exactly. We have these wonderful features and we forget about them because we're so busy doing new things. But
yes.
Sometimes the old ones are just fantastic. Yes.
I love that. What a fast way. So now you're going to sew that elastic on. You're pretty much finished then, huh?
Well, after that, after that tape is on, you're done.
Wow. So when you come back to the screen, we're going to have to get another look at that whole piece. For anyone who popped in late, you'll have to save this. There's so much information here. Go back, save it this on your Facebook page. You can share it on your Facebook, or on YouTube. You can come back and watch it anytime. But I have a feeling you're all going to be taking a notebook and you're going to be following along to write down the measurements.
Oops, let me go turn off that light.
All right. While she's turning that off, I'll just take this down and we'll see the final product. So she gave you all the dimensions for what you need. So go back and you can write those down. We'll do a quick review here at the end. For those of you, grab your pencil and we'll do this one more time just so you know. And now you'll look at the final product here while as she comes back to us. Was this awesome or what? I love this. All right, Cathy. So let's take a look at this whole finished project and we'll go back just through a few quick measurements. I just love that. There's the pin. Okay, so for the pockets are 8.5 inches wide by 6.5. That's the little red piece that you see.
Yes, this little piece here.
And then the piece behind it that you saw her put the backing is 8.5 wide by 7.5 tall. For those of you that were totally confused at the beginning. All right, then the pincushion fabric that you see there, not the pincushion, but the beautiful pincushion fabric, which is the front, that is 8.5 inches wide by 36.5 inches tall, correct?
Right, yes.
All right, and then you have the backing, which is, show them the back just so they understand that that's just one piece of fabric. Oh, and you can see those stitches so great on there, the measuring tape, and that is 11.5 inches wide by 39.5 inches long. Right. And then not last but not least, the pin cushion itself is 3.5 inches wide, or 6.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches. So wide or length, whatever. 3.5 by 6.5. How long is that Velcro about? Maybe
3.5 inches.
Okay, so the Velcro is 3.5. Not Velcro, I'm sorry, not a product from Brother. Hook and loop tape. My apologies for that.
I have got to practice that. That's my thing for tonight is so hook and loop tape over and over again until I get it right.
Hook and loop. I'm going to sounds like a horse. Wynn's going to say, why do you keep saying that in your sleep? I don't know. I'll blame it on you, Cathy. Oh, I just love this project. This is going to be so much fun.
It is so much fun. And just to, think about what you may want to embroider. And then I was thinking that you could go to your scan and cut some heat transfer vinyl in the shape of an iron or whatever and transfer it onto here. It would be so much fun. There's so much.
That would be fun. Actually, I just thought of something we forgot. The batting. The batting was.
Yeah, the batting is the size of the front, 8.5 by 36.5.
Okay. Perfect. And I put the Instagram above here because when you make one of these, you have to tag Brother Sews on Instagram or Facebook. They love to see what you're working on and they will definitely share it. And then I like to watch too, so I'll be following along. Cathy, this was such a fun project. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments going through here. I'm in the chat right now. And if we have any questions that I can't help answer, I'm going to be sending them over to you. But this was such a great project. And I know a lot of people are saying they couldn't wait till people are traveling again and they're going to see you in class.
I hope so. Yes. I love teaching. It's so much fun. And sewing is so amazing. I mean, if it's not what you've looked at, it's probably better. What you've done is you've made it better. I mean, it's not a precise thing. It's amazing what you can come up with. I've taught classes where people have thought they had made a horrible mistake, and I ended up using it because it was such a great thing. It's just some mistakes are just not mistakes at all. They're just learning experiences.
We call them design opportunities, right?
Exactly.
Oh, well, Cathy, thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add about that? Because that project is so awesome. And you gave so many tips. The corners for both. The corners for the pin cushion, the corners for what looks like a quilt padding on the edging. I'm excited for this one.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So, Cathy, nice to see you. All of you, thank you for watching. I know you have a lot to do each day, but we so appreciate you following us and watching. And so this week is a wrap. Saturday, we have an It's So Easy episode, and then I will see you again next Tuesday. Cathy, thank you for such a good project. This is on my list to sew for friends. I love it.
Thanks.
All
Have a
right.
good
Bye,
evening.
everyone.
Bye-bye.